So now we're going to talk about some strategies that can be used at home and at school. And these are strategies that could be put into a behavior intervention plan. They could be used with a functional behavior assessment, or they could be part of classroom strategies. So these aren't exclusive to just BIPs. They can be used however they need to be used. So for example, this visual that we see, strategies could be visual, and they could help a student to regulate his or her emotions and then learn an appropriate emotional response. So here we have on screen, if we have a child that's indicated they're at the point of losing it, almost in the out of control mode, we need to develop some strategies and some appropriate response for what can that child do when they're in this zone. They're probably not ready for us to start teaching and for curriculum to start. So we need to get them in a more regulated state, maybe down to a 2 or 3 calm down here in order for them to learn. So what can we implement to help bring that students, whether it's anxiety, sensory overload, anger, whatever it is that's causing this child to be into the losing it mode, what can we do to bring them back down? So interventions can also include devices or services that a student might need to help with the learning process. So for example, access to a keyboard. If a student struggles with writing, access to a keyboard is something that's simple to implement and can reduce frustration, therefore reducing behaviors. Maybe a student needs sensory breaks. If they've got access to a sensory room, maybe they could help regulate them so that they're ready and available to learn. Possibly a break card would be appropriate for a student who's experiencing some sensor overload or anxiety. And here it says, I feel blank and I need a break. So again, we're helping students to identify what their emotional state might be. And then here are some appropriate choices that they can make. An intervention could include a daily rating scale so that the student and teacher can evaluate how a student might be doing. So for example, staying on task. If the student rates themselves pretty high for staying on task, yet the teacher rates the student as low, there's some discrepancy there. So possibly maybe that student is looking out the window and it looks like they're not paying attention or staying on task, when in fact, maybe they're taking in the information, but instead it looks to maybe the staff or the teacher like they're not. So again, having a daily rating scale so that student and teacher can check in with one another might be very beneficial. Some more ideas and strategies. Possibly a first then visual. So first we're going to do some work and then you get some computer time. Our little guy over here is getting what's called hurdle help. So that's helping the student get through a challenge or a hurdle. For example, maybe it's a writing assignment and they just can't get it started. So that teacher is there to help them get the process started. For a younger student, maybe you're requesting that the student help pick up crayons or toys. I'll pick up 3 crayons and then you pick up 3 crayons. So again, it's helping that student kind of start the task. Offering choices. I'm through, now what to do? So some students need help with that unstructured time. They don't know what to do with themselves, and then we see some behaviors. So again, we're giving choices. Here are some choices that are acceptable and appropriate for this time of day. And again, a visual schedule so that students can help predict what might be coming up in their day. More strategies. Again, here's our break, please. Also, visual timers are very helpful for students. Some students need to know how much time do I have to work on something, or how much, especially with the break time, we need to teach how to use a break card. So how many minutes is it? Is it 5 minutes? Is it 10 minutes? And also how often and what environments can we use the break card? So yes, we have break cards, but we also need to teach how to use them. And again, break please, I'm feeling. So again, helping students to recognize emotions and what are some appropriate responses. So questions to ask. How can we respond to inappropriate behavior that will not reinforce inappropriate behaviors? So for example, if you have a child with, say, some toileting issues and they're using the toileting issues to gain attention. So if we overreact when the child has a toileting issue, we've just reinforced that behavior with the desired response the student wanted. So guess what? That behavior got the response. So what we have to look at, how do we replace that attention-seeking behavior with something that's much more acceptable than and a student having to have toileting issues. For example, also, there's a restorative justice program in some school districts. So this is a program that might be used instead of a detention. So for example, if two students got into a fight and say they broke a door at school, the students would have to help out after the school day to replace the cost of the door. So this kind of turns into more, what are some natural consequences that we can put in place that aren't necessarily punitive, but lead to learning. So congratulations, you've completed the last section of functional behavior assessments and behavior intervention plans. Great job.